Hello everyone, this is Eye on Africa for Wednesday, December the 8th. Here are the headlines. At least 48 people die in tribal clashes in a camp for displaced persons in Darfur, a region no stranger to ethnic violence. More than 900 artifacts stolen from Mali are returned to the country in a ceremony in Bamako. The objects were found in 2009 in a shipping container in Houston, Texas. And we'll take you to the Rwandan capital and introduce you to Kigali's milk bars, where people go to socialize and unwind over large glasses of milk mixed with honey. But first, we begin with news out of Burkina Faso. The country's president has dismissed Prime Minister Christophe Dabiré and his government. The news coming out in a statement following Dabire's offer to resign as head of the government. Dabire then sent out his own statement. He thanked the president for the trust he had placed in him over the past 3 years, and he called on the people of Burkina Faso to support the president and the new government that will be put in place. The news comes just days after the now former prime minister had pledged to create a more tight-knit government to better lead the fight against terrorists in the country. Burkina Faso has recently seen a surge in attacks committed by fighters linked to Al-Qaeda, as well as protests against the government, who was accused by many of being no longer able to put an end to the terrorist attacks. 23 people have died in Nigeria when gunmen attacked a bus in the country's northwestern Sokoto state. The attack caused a fire, trapping the passengers inside the bus. It is unclear why the vehicle was attacked, but heavily armed criminals have terrorized Nigeria's northwest and central states for years. Authorities say security forces were immediately sent to the area to secure and patrol the vicinity. There are new pictures tonight from a hospital in western Darfur where dozens of people were taken to following major tribal clashes over the weekend. At least 48 people were killed during those clashes, which began as a financial dispute between two people on Saturday in a camp for displaced persons in West Darfur province. The clashes continued on Sunday, with militias known as the Janjaweed attacking and torching the camp as well as looting property. The latest flare-up brings to around 100 the number of people killed in the region over the past 3 weeks.
وحسب ما معروف يحصل شنو في كريندك لانه الدرب في النص مقطوع يعني الناس اللي عملوا كمان من هنا زول ما يقدر يمشي.
7 United Nations peacekeepers have died in Mali this Wednesday when the convoy they were a part of hit an explosive device. 3 others were seriously wounded. The blast took place between the towns of Douentza and Sévaré, an area where groups linked to Al-Qaeda and the Islamic State group are known to operate. The casualties belong to the Togo contingent of the MINUSMA. The head of the UN condemned what he called a heinous attack, while the head of the MINUSMA called it cowardly and claimed the attack could constitute a war crime. The United States have returned a collection of over 900 stolen artifacts to Mali. A ceremony to mark the return was held in Bamako on Tuesday. The 921 looted objects had been illegally trafficked in the U.S. and were found by authorities in 2009 in a shipping container in Texas. Laurent Berstecher has the details.
A symbolic unboxing by the U.S. ambassador and the Malian Prime Minister. The ceremony took place in Bamako's National Museum to mark the return of over 900 looted artifacts to Mali, a treasure trove of ceremonial and mortuary items dating back to the Neolithic period, whose restitution had been years in the making.
These objects are the product of several interventions from our American Customs Authority over the last 10 years. They're archaeological and ethnographic objects that were stolen from here and illegally exported.
In 2009, U.S. Customs authorities reported a suspicious container at the port of Houston. Inside were over 920 artifacts originating from Mali, with certificates claiming they were reproductions. But a careful examination by experts and anthropologists later confirmed their authenticity. In 2011, the U.S. agreed to return the items, But the process was repeatedly delayed due to civil unrest and insecurity in Mali. 10 years later, the artifacts are finally back where they belong and are now set to be displayed in museums across the country.
The United States government's fine example deserves to be followed by all countries where African national heritage objects are kept.
The restitution sees the US follow in the footsteps of France, Belgium, and Germany, which all started the process of returning thousands of looted and confiscated artifacts to Benin, Nigeria, and the DRC earlier this year.
Let's take you to Kigali now, where every morning long lines appear outside milk bars, where people come to socialize and unwind over large glasses of fermented milk mixed with honey. Milk drinking became ingrained in the country's culture as the result of a government policy initiated after the 1994 genocide to revive the economy and fight malnutrition. Simon Wolfhard has the story.
In Kigali, from the early hours of the morning, these couriers have no time to waste. They have to deliver milk to the hundreds of milk bars in the capital before the customers arrive.
I sell milk from Nyanza. I sell fresh milk, fermented milk and yogurt. There are many customers. We can have 40, 50 or more in a day.
Some people come almost every day to this bar.
I'd like some fresh milk, please, and make it cold.
This shopkeeper comes here every day before work to take his daily 2 liters of milk.
This is my bar. It's where I come to drink. I can't go anywhere else. This drink symbolizes something of great value in Rwanda because it comes from the cow, and the cow is central to our culture. When I was a child, my parents told me that milk is good and that it's very nutritious. They encouraged me to drink it often.
By the end of 2020, Rwanda had produced more than 890,000 tons of milk, an increase of 140% in 10 years. The majority of this comes from the former royal capital Nyanza in the south of the country. Zirakamwa Dairy opened in 2013. In just 8 years, production has increased 5-fold.
For us, milk is wealth. Having a cow that produces milk means money, because there are several factories here in the region that buy it. There is a very old factory, Banyan Milk Industry, which dates back to the time of King Rudkuwera. Today, there is an increase of demand. More and more people are starting to drink it, both children and adults. We encourage school children to drink it.
The government urges people to consume milk from a very early age. That is its way of fighting malnutrition, which, according to the World Food Programme, affects 33% of Rwandans under the age of 5. In 2006, the authorities also launched the Girinka program to give a cow to each poor family. According to the Ministry of Agriculture, more than 400,000 have been distributed since then. Alphonsine is her family's sole breadwinner. 3 years ago, she was able to get a young cow.
Before, I had trouble getting a good harvest. My maize plantation was drying up. But now I get a good harvest thanks to the cow's manure. A cow is very important. Gives us manure and also milk for us to drink. Since getting a cow, I feel rich. I don't have to beg for milk or manure.
Beyond economic interests, cows and their products are deeply rooted in Rwandan culture.
Finally, Egypt has been dealing with a major storm system. Strong winds in several parts of the country have whipped up sand and dust, hindering visibility in Cairo and other cities. The pictures there from the capital city under a thick cloud of sand and dust. Schools were shut down in several of the country's governorates, and authorities closed the straits of 5 ports, including Alexandria. In that city and all along the Mediterranean coast, wave heights reached 4 to 5 meters. Better weather is expected on Thursday. And that does it for this edition of Eye on Africa. Thank you very much for watching. The news continues on France 24 right after this.
From North to South Africa, from Bamako to Nairobi, from Accra to Mogadishu. Bringing you all the political, economic, cultural and social news from Africa for a better insight into an ever-changing continent.
Across Africa, presented by Georgia Calvin-Smith on France 24 and France24.com.
Climate change is forcing Senegal to revive its Great Green Wall project, on hold now for 15 years. The Pan-African Agency is in Louga in the northwest to talk to the people there.
Cet arbre dont ils ont besoin, ils vont s'en occuper, ils vont l'aimer, ils vont l'arroser, et ils vont attendre de lui qu'il donne des fruits.
A huge project sowing a small seed of hope.
Forestation, as a result, that has plunged the community into poverty, and poverty albeit migration, conflicts.
Find out how some of Africa's most arid lands are being brought to life in Revisited on France 24 and France24.com.